the need is very pressing for the ANC to secure new sources of revenue, and therefore it will fight very, very hard to introduce state capture version 2.0 through its policies.
Is South Africa experiencing a second wave of state capture? Well, this is a thesis that was put forward by John Endres, director of the CRA, in this week's weekly Risk Alert. John joins me to discuss today. John, what was the main thrust of your argument in yesterday's Risk Alert?
Well, David, I think the public's mind has been very much focused on the revelations at the Zondo Commission of Inquiry into State Capture, which showed us that the state institutions had been quite, to a very large extent, undermined and been made amenable to corruption on the parts of members of the ANC specifically and of the government. And while that has drawn a lot of attention, we believe that there is a second wave of state capture underway. And I will describe to you the difference between those two waves. State capture version 1.0, which is what is discussed at Zondo, really focuses on policies such as BEE, cadre deployment, and preferential procurement in order to create sources of funding for the ANC and its hangers-on, and it allows the ANC to build the patronage networks that ensure stability within the party and to a certain extent also within the state. In contrast, state capture version 2.0 focuses on non-tax revenue flows and on assets. And some examples of initiatives that would fall under the state capture version 2.0 umbrella include things like prescribed assets, which was a venture last year to oblige pension funds to invest a certain share of their holdings into state projects, for example, state infrastructure projects like SAA or Eskom or others. A further initiative that falls under this umbrella would be the National Health Insurance, which aims to nationalize the entire healthcare system and also to nationalize all healthcare savings. And then we had a further example of this coming out last week, which was the National Social Security Fund. This was a proposal that was brought out by the Department of Social Development. And what it proposes to do is create a new social security fund, which will be bankrolled by mandatory deductions from people who earn an income of up to 12% of their salaries. And this money would then be used to build this fund, from which benefits would then be paid to eligible South Africans based on their age or their disability status or their survivor status. But what all of these things have in common is that they really do tap private assets and non-tax revenue flows. And these would allow the party to keep going for a little longer than it might if it had to rely only on the sources that were revealed under the Zondo Commission.
Enjoying this analysis? Click here to sign up for our 30-day free trial for more content from the CIA.
John, could we unpack the risks of this National Social Security Fund? So there will be mandatory payroll deductions of between 8 and 12%. That will be going into a large centrally administered pool of funds. And there is a risk that that could be targeted for nefarious ends. What are some of the problems that you flagged in the Risk Alert yesterday?
Well, certainly this National Social Security Fund would be very bad for South Africans who are currently making their own pension arrangements, because it would remove the choice of being able to select how to invest their savings in order to provide for their retirement. Instead, choice would be taken away, contributions would be mandatory. There are certain limits in place, but nonetheless, it means that you would not be able to choose how your money gets invested or which pension fund, for example, to invest it with. The expectation would be that people above a certain income threshold would top up their contribution to the state fund through payments to private funds. But certainly everybody who falls below that income threshold would not have any choice at all and would only have 12% deducted from their salaries, paid over into a state fund, and then hope for the best that there would be a pension at the end of their working lives. And as you point out, many state-run funds and organizations have been badly mismanaged and the fear arises that this would be the case with the National Social Security Fund as well. It creates a very large pot of money that avaricious gazes might be directed towards from on the part of government and the ANC. And it would, of course, also entail the creation of a very large new bureaucracy with many lucrative posts to be filled by party loyalists. So in this case, the beneficiaries of the system would be the ANC and its cronies, and the victims would be ordinary South Africans, working South Africans, as well as, of course, the private pension fund industry, which would have quite a substantial amount of its revenue flows diverted from itself and into state hands.
John, of course, this all takes place against the backdrop of a deteriorating fiscal situation. The government is running out of money, and so too is the ANC. You unpacked this in the risk alert. Could you share some of those insights with our viewers?
Yes, so we warn our subscribers and our viewers that the risk of state capture version 2.0 should be taken seriously. And the first reason for this is that it is ideologically motivated, in the sense that centralization of of economic resources and assets in the hands of the state is very much a declared goal of ANC policy. Expropriation without compensation falls into this category as well. And so we must expect, for ideological reasons, the ANC to persist in state capture version 2.0 initiatives. But the second reason is, as you mentioned, that both the state and the ANC itself have effectively run out of money. The South African government is operating on a budget of minus 14% deficit for the past year, which it aims to ameliorate over the short to medium term, whereas the ANC itself has run out of money to such an extent that it is unable to pay its own employees. It is being taken to task by the SARS, the revenue services, for not having paid over PAYE contributions. I think that is a debt approaching 100 million rand. And most recently, Ipsos, a polling company, also says that it has not been paid for services rendered since 2019 and is taking the ANC to court to recover those monies. And so the need is very pressing for the ANC to secure new sources of revenue, and therefore it will fight very, very hard to introduce state capture version 2.0 through its policies.
Thanks very much, John. If you would like access to our weekly risk alerts, you can do so by clicking on the link in the description below. That will take you to our 30-day free trial, where you can sample all of our reports and analysis for free. Also, let us know your thoughts in the comments section. What do you think is behind this new proposal of the National Social Security Fund? My name is David Ansara. This is the Center for Risk Analysis. Until next time, take care.